the idea was to use the same code base that runs on the server and in the browser, also for a completely local application. And this concept is not new. It's basically the same that has been used also for the iOS and Android apps for a long time, and it has worked nicely. And of course, this has the great benefit that improvements to the UI that is made for online also automatically applies to the desktop apps, and it looks the same. And switching between editing some documents on a server through online and other documents locally is much easier because it looks the same and it has more or less the same features.
Wonderful. So we started in 2024, previously with Thor and me on the Windows and macOS. We did part-time kind of research project initially, but like it looked very promising. So Sarper joined us later with this full-time to initiate the Linux version, but then he has also done lots of things in the shared part so that it improved the Windows and macOS version as well. And so luckily it is now all released. So in autumn 2025 it got out. And yeah.
Okay, so on the history side, around November 2025, we did the first release, and then there was this big push to bug fix releases and add the features in. So we were doing a bit more featureful releases just on top of it very fast, just before FOSDEM, the last one. And yeah, most recent one. I think the slides are a bit off on this one. It's not a few days ago. It was around FOSDEM time. Yeah. So, thank you.
And as I said, well, as I didn't say yet, but will say now, the idea is that we have only one process running, and it does all the things that in an online setup requires several processes. And all the code that is needed from the online servers run in this process. And then we also have some platform-specific code to handle things like window management and starting the so-called web view thing that runs the HTML or displays the HTML and runs the JavaScript. The way you start this is, of course, platform dependent, but the actual features available in this web view is more or less the same on all platforms. And just like in the iOS app, you can have several open documents at the same time. We needed some improvements to that, and now I think it works quite reliably. And this also then improved the iOS app. I'm not sure about the Android one. Is it?
Not yet.
Okay, yeah. Yes, and especially for Windows, perhaps the biggest challenge was that we required some parts of the core, or as it nowadays is called, engine, that had previously not been used at all on Windows to be compiled. And this was related to the graphics backend and the external libraries used by that. We used the same so-called headless backend for all three platforms. And this then required using these Cairo FreeType and font config libraries. As such, these had been ported to Windows already some time ago, but that was a bit outdated, and of course to compile as part of Collabora Office it required more exotic tweaks and patches.
Thank you. So technical details on Linux. So mostly the important bits are we are using Qt 6 and the Qt Web Engine for the front end. Qt Web Engine is basically Chromium. And then obviously we use the JavaScript and C++ bridge through Qt's abilities to connect it through QApp channel. And something to mention here is to have single instancing, and in general, almost all of the communication is done through dbus with the operating system. So for the single instance, we basically make dbus requests, and if there's an instance, it launches a document in the already existing instance. And we use lots of different queries so that it integrates well into your operating system. Just because we are using Qt, we don't actually focus on one toolkit. We also make sure it works okay and nicely on GNOME and on KDE or whatever desktop environment that you pick. So it tries to integrate as well as possible there. We sandbox and distribute it via Flatpak mainly on FlatHub. So there's all these benefits of it being sandboxed that way.
And for macOS, the tiled rendering was not available. So it was necessary to do a little bit of the work similar to Windows to make it compiling and making it available for macOS. I think it was less work than Tor had to do on Windows, because still it is more Unixy than Windows. And so also the VCL plugin for macOS was dependent on the more on the APIs available on the macOS, which had to be changed for this work as well. But we ended up with rendering the tiles the same way as we do on Linux as well. So it was good. Then quite an amount of the work had to be spent on sandboxing, so that I did a prototype of the collaborative editing first that would use more processes, but then it turned out that if we want to distribute it in the App Store, it is not possible because fork is not allowed in the sandbox apps. So we had to change it into this single process that creates all the or that manages all the documents. And of course the various platform bits like clipboard handling, printing and stuff. Otherwise for the web view itself we are using the completely standard Apple One, which makes it a bit different from the Windows and Linux, because these are Chrome-based, and the web view on macOS is WebKit-based, which makes it slightly different. But in the end, it seems to work pretty well.
And as mentioned, the user interface is the same as in online, except then that we have some things that can't really happen in a browser, but can in a desktop app, like access desktop files through the normal system dialogues, and also access the clipboard in all necessary ways. And then we have this so-called backstage thing implemented in JavaScript that we use to select templates when you start it or when you want to open a new document. You see here a list of your previous documents and templates that you can choose. This is something that probably will be improved quite a lot in the future. And otherwise it looks the same as in online. Well, this is quite low-level technical details. Probably I won't go into those details now, and let's go to the Linux-specific things.
Okay, very shortly then, on the Flatpak side, we only get access to your documents directory. And we already integrated our unit tests in the Flatpak build, so we test the environment that way. And in the clipboard handling, we do some early hijacking in the browser code, and we try to make it as native as possible.
And for the macOS, we are using the NS Documents framework, which is the standard on macOS, which makes it available for us to do the document history quite well presented. It also allows us to do the tabbed interface just for free and out of the box, which was a huge achievement in this, even though like using the NS document was initially a bit problematic.
And as Torsten already mentioned, in the future, this will be improved so that you can also, even if you are editing a document locally, you can also add to it later several continuous editing editors, and we also need to add more functionality, of course, from the classic Office. And we want to switch to a tabbed UI on Windows and Linux also. And that's all, and